Hey guys, it's Ken Scott, Senior, U.S. Immigration Law Intelligence Analyst with www.usentry-waiver-services.com. Hey guys, let's get right into this. I saw this story today, all those from November 9th, and listening to what this lawyer said in here, reading through the story, it clearly shows me why and how a lot of Canadians don't understand this U.S. border. Me being a former federal officer, former law enforcement officer, former U.S. government employee, U.S. and Canadian citizen. This stuff is a no-brainer. And it goes to show how these individuals don't get this, including the lawyer. In the video, this lawyer is talking about the fact that essentially, because who's in the White House, essentially it's greater scrutiny. And guys, that's straight bullshit. Because when George Bush was president, in George Bush Jr. 2003, it was the same thing, if not worse. It was the same thing during the Bush administration. And how do I know? Is because when he was president, I left the US government right about a year after that. I left in late 2002, and I think he got on '03. Anyway, that's when he invaded Iraq. So they were doing this during the Bush administration. They were doing this during the Trump administration. They also did it when Obama was in and Biden was in. This is nothing new. Maybe it's news stories, like a slow news day. This stuff is nothing new. Felt like a bit of abuse of power, Canadian dynamic entry to the U.S. Guys, what happened to her? She did an I-275 withdrawal of application for admission. They thought she was an intending immigrant under regulations. Guys, this is, again, just like if um if I ask someone in Halifax, someone in Nova Scotia, hey, have you ever heard of lobster? It's a no-brainer. This stuff is nothing new. It states in the regulations, it clearly states that essentially the presumption is that every foreign national entering the USA is presumed to be an intending immigrant. The burden of proof is on that person to prove otherwise. Now, obviously, that's going to be applied to more people's situation than others. The guy who's a longshoreman, who, let's say, he's got a house in Vancouver. He's longshoreman job. He owns two vehicles, married, two kids. There's no way in the world they're going to say he's moving to USA. He's a longshoreman. He's got a home here. He's got strong ties and equities to Canada. As a foreign national, in this case, Canadians, you have to have strong ties to Canada. And that includes employment, or in this girl's case, school. And one of the things they look at is purpose for entry. Do you have a return ticket? What are you going to be doing? How long are you going to be going? Just reading through the story, it looks like she was going to be there, looks like maybe 4 or 5 months. Okay, 4 or 5 months, 20 years old. Apparently she didn't have the actual return ticket with her. She said she booked it, didn't have the actual return ticket. So that's when they start digging. What are your ties to Canada? Where do you live? Where do you work? Do you have community ties? What are you going to be doing in the USA? This is all in the regulations. This is nothing new. So I don't want you guys getting baffled by the fake news from the leftist mainstream media. This is nothing new. And we're going to go through this. We're going to tear this story apart because my guy's not here for another 9 minutes. My client. 20-year-old Canadian booked a flight south to visit her grandparents, recently refused entry. Okay, that's fine. They can refuse entry to pretty much any foreign national. That's nothing new. It's been that way since at least 1952. Look at bewilderment. Okay, she's bewildered. Well, that's fine. Fair enough. Some people here are bewildered on a good day here in Surrey. The customs also thought she was illegally immigrating to the USA. Yes, that presumption of being an intending immigrant. It felt like a little bit of abuse of power, honestly, said mom. Okay, well, mom can feel what she wants. And I'm speaking from the perspective of an officer because I know exactly what they were thinking. And it was not an abuse of power. People don't understand these CBP officers are there to safeguard the U.S. borders and allow people in whom they deem admissible. And if it hurts your feelings, hate to say it, if it hurts your feelings, that's just too bad. That's the way they look at it. Not me, just how they look at it. She arrived at Pearson, okay, with her bags packed, valid passport, okay, that's fine. That means nothing. Valid passport, okay. She purchased a round-trip airfare to Orlando with, okay, looking forward to 6 week, okay, so a 6 week trip in Florida reset. Yeah, somewhere for some reason I thought something about a couple of months. Anyway, so we'll go with 6 weeks. 20-year-old on a break from school until spring. Okay, many Canadians couldn't find a job, so she decided to take advantage of time off. Okay. Wait an hour and a half in line. Her turn came. I found suspicious. Starting to hyperventilate a bit because I was nervous that something was going to happen. Well, yeah, you're going to be denied entry. When asked by CBP plans to try and immigrate, okay, that's fine. Yeah, U.S. immigration takes their orders from the top. That's common sense. And there's more of an anti-immigration sentiment in this country. I don't know about that part. I mean, they have all the tools to use at their discretion. Well, yeah, they had that since 1952 under the Immigration Nationality Act. Homeland Security checklist went to share on the officers noted Julia didn't have proof of return ticket home. Although she showed CTV her news her itinerary along with a return flight home with Porter Airlines. So yes, where's the actual ticket, the paper ticket, or maybe even ticket on her phone? Where's the actual uh, paper or digital ticket showing you're actually coming home? Not itinerary, but the actual ticket. Customs also require, yeah, proof of employment, school. Okay, yeah, see, they asked for proof that she's enrolled in school. So she's unable to do that because she's currently unemployed on a break from school. This doesn't fully sound right. More questions. People being kept in secondary inspection. Yeah, yeah. If this lawyer says some people are being kept in secondary inspection for longer when they're being questioned. Some people can be in secondary 10 minutes, some can be secondary 9 hours. It's case by case. It's been that way again since at least 1952. But I'll go as far as to say at least the 80s, because I wasn't around in 52. This is nothing new. Jordan expanded, even though she was okay. Visit grandparents on issues in February. Now she's concerned she may be unable to cross the border to see her family. Well, as long as you got the proper ties and equities to Canada, they can't turn you around for that. It's common sense. All right, with your family, I hope people aren't going to face this. They've been facing this again since at least I'm gonna say at least the 80s, if not prior, because like again, I wasn't around in the 50s. So bottom line, based upon this story, guys, you need to have, as a foreign national, you need to have your proper ties and equities to Canada, generally speaking. Again, the longshoremen, they probably won't really bother him. The bus driver with Coast Mountain bus line or TransLink, they likely won't bother him because he's got a job as a bus driver. He's got a flat here in Surrey, been a bus driver 25 years. He's probably not moving to USA. 20-year-old girl, university, um, out university, may or may not have a US citizen boyfriend. Who knows if that part was even mentioned? And who's more likely to be the immigrant? The 20 plus year bus driver or the 20-year-old girl who, quote unquote, is in school but on a break, which that's fine, and who may have the US citizen boyfriend who happens to have a condo in Seattle. I'm not saying she had that, but that's a scenario we've seen here before. So, yeah, generally speaking, a lot of times the younger ones do get a bit more scrutiny. And the reason why, guys, is because the younger ones are the ones who are more inclined to have a habit of overstaying and doing this stuff. Not saying she was, but quite often that's the case, as opposed to the longshoreman or the bus driver or the person who, I'll say, a Van City, Van City's right across the street, Van City credit union teller, front desk teller. So it makes sense what they did. I see why they did it. And the thing is, as long as she brings back the proper ties and equities for the appropriate time period, she likely won't have any other issues. Luckily, because she did it at the pre-clearance at the, I guess, Pearson Airport, she's on Canadian soil, so she didn't get the 5-year ban, the deportation, the expedited removal. So that part helped her out because had it been a land border, she could have very well got that 5-year ban. And you guys say, well, Ken, why is that? Because again, under the regulations, presumption of intending immigrant, the longshoreman probably won't get it. Bus driver not likely to get it. Young girl who's 20 who may or may not have a boyfriend, may not have, or she may have ties to Seattle like that. Doesn't have to really come back to Canada. No kids here. Probably a little more leaning towards that category. But again, remember, it's case by case. And the reason why we know this stuff, again, me being a former federal officer, former law enforcement officer who's previously posted in Washington State, we get people cleared here in British Columbia or Western Canada based upon using the DHS regulations, manuals, everything. So I know exactly what they did, why. I even saw the I-275 documents in the video, the withdrawal, and what they wrote up on her. So this is not the end of the world, in all honesty. I mean, she can get around this. This is not that hard to get around. Will it delay her? Maybe. Will it inconvenience her? Yeah. But guess what? At the risk of being bluntly honest, CBP doesn't, he's here, doesn't give a flying flamingo. They really don't, guys. So, but I gotta be bluntly honest with you guys. I mean, I know it sounds harsh, but you guys need to get into the mindset that because you're a Canadian citizen, you are not guaranteed entry to that country. But you come to us, we can ensure that this will not happen to you. We get you sorted out quite proper. So, Ken Scott, Senior, U.S. Immigration Law Intelligence Analyst at www.usentryWaiverServices.com. And it's 888-908-3841 or 604 562-8140. Sorry, guys, I almost forgot how to switch that off. So remember, I mean, for this girl, it's not the end of the world. It really isn't. And guys, you'd be surprised. Sometimes these kind of files that we get, like what she went through, can be more work than if the person had criminality. I know it's crazy, but on our website, we list the stuff that's like more complex, stuff that's less complex to clear. And sometimes these files can get into the complex category depending upon the situation. But I'm out. Have a great day.